And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the eAe podcast. This is a new venture that we're trying to get in, trying to spread out our media coverage, cover all sorts of entertainment, and we're pretty much covering a lot of what's been going on, keeping you up to date. I'm your host, Saint D, and I'm joined by Insanity and Snare. How are you guys doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm good.
I'm actually quite thirsty now that I think about it. I should have made tea or something.
I don't know what your thirst has to do with anything, but okay.
Dude, really thirsty. It's like,
And now you made me thirsty. Thanks, bro.
And now everyone's thirsty. Thank you, Slayer.
hey, why are you guys so thirsty?
It's all your fault, man. But nonetheless, guys, this week we are covering movie news related to comic books. Last week we had a whole bunch of news just being dropped onto us. For one, DC and Warner Brothers, they announced their plan up until 2020. Pretty much their movie plan. They have 10 movies planned up until 2020, and it's going to be insane. And then on the flip side, over on the Marvel side, we had Marvel. It started out as a rumor, but I think it's pretty much confirmed, considering that Variety's sources are sort of reliable. Essentially, what they did mention is Robert Downey Jr. is in talks with Marvel about joining the Captain America 3, and it's also starting talks that the Civil War storyline should be a major plot point in the Captain America 3 movie.
Wait, if they're gonna be doing Civil War,
Yeah.
don't they need Spider-Man for that?
And that's actually one of the other points that we might mention, the possibility of Spider-Man being taken up by Marvel. That's
Oh, they wanna
actually
buy it from Fox.
Sony.
well. Listen,
From Sony, yeah.
the only reason we're
Fox
pretty
was
much
fantastic.
the only reason we're mentioning it is because well, one random news site. Well, I'm just gonna call it a tabloid because it as it stands right now, the news for Spider-Man possibly going back to Marvel, it's pretty much the word of one source, one unnamed source, who happened to hear from someone who supposedly works there, and as it stands, it's it's a bit shaky.
A friend of a friend of a friend.
Yeah, it's that kind of situation, and the only reason I'm making mention of it is because almost every other movie news site has been pretty much mentioned in it. But it's not that it's impossible. It's just that right now it's not newsworthy in the sense that there's no one really confirming it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they do buy Spider-Man, or they're gonna keep Andrew Garfield, or they're gonna
Okay.
change him again.
Okay, so I like I said, I have no idea, and there isn't really any news going out overall what's going on with Spider-Man. But the story is right, because Sony, the company in general, Sony the conglomerate, like not just talking Sony Pictures, Sony the conglomerate, right, is in a bit of financial trouble. So
Oh, gotcha.
if Marvel were to swoop in right now, Sony would kind of. I mean, Sony's still being kept afloat. I mean, they still have something to keep them afloat. But in essence, they're kind of drowning a little bit. And if Marvel had a window to take back Spider-Man, this actually is their window. Now, if they are talking about it, and which is why I'm not entirely sure we want Spider-Man going to Marvel.
Yeah.
The big thing about that is if it does go back to Marvel, what happens? Do they decide to reboot it, or are they going to continue on where Sony left off? Because I mean, you look at the Amazing Spider-Man 2. That was not even remotely close to as good as the first Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was about to say, actually, I don't know if I really mind a reboot at this stage.
Yeah, but
Howdy, boss.
See, that's the thing.
is-
That's the thing. The second Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, relatively speaking, it was a financial success. But going off of the success of the previous movie, what they initially thought is because of how much the first movie made, we should probably be making a killing on the second one. Actually, they were even expecting it to be well, of the American summer. They were expecting it to be pretty much the highest selling movie of its period, the highest selling blockbuster, so to speak. But I mean, it made a decent amount of money, but nowhere near the amount the first movie made, nowhere near the amount that Guardians of the Galaxy is making, which actually just surpassed Man of Steel in terms of earnings. So that's also pretty huge. But yeah, if Sony does sell it, right? If Sony does sell it, it leaves them in sort of a better position in the sense that fine, they're letting go of a franchise which they've kind of started drowning because Amazing Spider-Man 2 was honestly almost going the route that Spider-Man 3 initially went.
But guys, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be completely honest here. I think Sony did an injustice to man not give those rights a long time ago to Marvel, bro.
Yeah, they should have. The thing is,
Spider-Man in Avengers. I wanted a Spider-Man there, bro. It just didn't feel the same without his little quirky chirps in there, bro. You know, I felt cheated without a Spider-Man in the Avengers movie. So
You know which Spider-Man I would have wanted, right?
Yeah.
You know when just before Amazing Spider-Man was announced?
yeah.
It's Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, he petitioned to be Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
Imagine yeah, dude, Avengers with Black Spider-Man would be awesome.
they could potentially do that. I mean, it's not far out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, if they decide, okay, we take the rights to Spider-Man, and we decide, no, we're not continuing for. Listen, I kind of think Andrew Garfield is actually a pretty good Spider-Man. But then again, on the flip side, they will. If Marvel and Disney decide, okay, we want Spider-Man, they'll probably want to make it in their own vision. And then that brings forth the question, do Marvel really still want the Spider-Man property? Because if they take the Spider-Man property, right, the question is then, okay, so whoever's been watching Spider-Man, you cannot tell me that the guys who, at least personally, I don't know people who have watched Amazing Spider-Man and haven't watched Avengers. So what is Marvel and Disney really gaining by taking Spider-Man? That's another big thing they have to think about.
again, Spider-Man and Avengers, bro. What more is it to think about?
Hey man, you have
You know,
to.
I can justify it, right? We can justify it like this. Check this out, right? You know, they justified War Machine's absence by saying he was like out of the country or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, could it not be because, you know, Spider-Man lives so hard and, you know, times are so tough, nah? Because the fight that they had in Avengers, nah, honestly didn't take that long, nah?
Yeah.
So let's say Spider-Man's stuck somewhere in a suburb, so he can't really swing that far. There's no taxis around, and he just has to try a mission. And by the time he gets there, action's over. Doesn't have anything to do. And they can show him being bleak, saying, damn it.
I remember when Avengers first came out, how many of these pictures and memes there were of Spider-Man, like, you know, alien invasion, world in danger, nobody phones me, you know, and there's pictures going around of like Spider-Man not
I
being
remember those.
included, bro. And
I
it was
remember
like,
those.
you know, it's a good but sad time. That's why I say he should have been there from the first one, bro.
No,
I'm
listen,
sticking with my guns on that.
as a fan, I certainly want Spider-Man back in Marvel and Disney's hands. But it's going to be a question of, do they really think it's that big of a financial thing? Because, you know, studios look at metrics, they think, what exactly are we getting outside of fan praise?
Oh, no, wait, dude, I've got it, right?
Yeah.
What you do, you make, you do this, right? This is what you do. You buy Spider-Man immediately, right?
Yeah.
But then you tie his movies into what's been happening in the other Marvel movies, right? Like, say for Avengers, you show him like pitching up late, not knowing what to do, right?
Yeah.
In Amazing Spider-Man 1, like, I don't know, you just add a back trailer, nah? Like, just do a little bit of, what do they call it? Of retconning, nah?
Yeah.
Show like Tony Stark driving his car or something like that. Spider-Man 2, you know, the news channel, you see like, I don't know, Captain America or something in the crowd, looking like he's about to gear up, but then you see the Spider-Man guy's got it. Then Captain America's like, okay, this guy has got some skills. Maybe we call him to the Avengers.
Could work.
It could work.
Yeah, man.
Either way,
I'd buy it.
It could
at the
work.
end of the day, I actually don't care what story they make.
Yeah.
I just want to see him there, bro. I just, like I said, Spider-Man for me has always been my favorite hero because he's always got these little one-liners and he always pops them up. Even if they're about to die, he'll come up with a little one-liner, bro. And, you know, it's just something that I know Tony Stark also has that kind of role,
Yeah.
but never to the degree that Spider-Man had, you know. And even to see Tony Stark and Spider-Man, they clash completely with these little one-liners. It's just something that I felt was missing in those movies, even though they were great movies. It's just one of those things I felt. I really wish he was there, bro.
Dude,
Yeah.
this thing, Spider-Man's doesn't even spit one-liners. I think that guy's a rapper. Because he's always got these bars, so you're like, damn. Wish he had a beat.
I
Hey,
think.
there goes Childish Gambino again, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
no,
we
no.
go.
There we go.
There we go.
And it wouldn't be the first time that they've done something like that. I mean, you look at Kingpin and Daredevil.
Yeah. Actually, Daredevil is getting its own thing as well. So I think this year in terms of things that are happening in terms of comic books and the properties related to those comic books, it's insane. But I think the last point for me on the Spider-Man thing is they have to also be able to answer the question of whether or not fans are willing to go through another origin story.
I am.
I don't know, man.
Dude, you retcon Tony Stark it being Peter Parker's dad. And then you Gucci, bro.
Okay, fair enough. So the big news coming from the past week is the Civil War storyline, which is why we've gone on a tangent right now, and the 10 movie lineup coming out from DC, not including the supposedly up and coming Batman and Superman movies. What are your thoughts, guys? We've got a hectically packed we've got a packed schedule for both DC and Marvel. I mean, for a long time we've kind of had the idea of what Marvel is going to be doing up until 2020.
Yeah.
But DC just came out of nowhere, and I mean this is on the back of when Marvel decided, okay, they're just gonna leak a few rumors here and there, the Civil War storyline, and I mean fans went ballistic when they heard about it because I think that's actually a very big storyline, the whole Civil War thing. But then DC were like, okay, at this point, if we want any attention, we just have to go ballistic, and they pretty much went nuts. 10 movies, guys, up until 2020. 2016, obviously the first, which we've always known about and has always had a lot of buzz, whether it be negative or positive. We've had Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and an interesting one coming up immediately after that would be Suicide Squad. And then we've got Wonder Woman getting her own feature movie, and then we've got the Justice League movie. And then follow that up with The Flash, which is another interesting one, but we'll get to that. We've got Aquaman, Shazam, the second part of Justice League, Cyborg also getting his own feature movie. I think this is the first time he gets a proper feature in any capacity. And then the last movie, the retcon of the Green Lantern. Guys, what do you think about that lineup?
Hold on. With all these movies coming out at the same time, Justice League or DC, they're trying to make everything well together, kind of like what Avengers does with cameos and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
With
Except
a schedule that packed, where will they find time to film everyone's cameos?
Okay, here's the thing, right? They have the one thing that I'd like to bring up as well on the point of uniformity in the universes, both Marvel and DC. Marvel and DC are kind of doing something that's similar but differs in very interesting ways, right? Marvel has this whole uniform universe. Fine, they have their Tony Starks, Iron Mans, they have their Captain Americas, they have pretty much everyone has their own little thing going on, but they are all connected into universe. hence the
Yeah.
Avengers and so forth, right? And the other thing is the TV show. Currently, we have the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I haven't actually watched that just yet. I'm not entirely sure what how it fits into everything, but I know that it is part of the continuity that Marvel has built up. While on the flip side, DC is doing the same thing with their cinematic universe, but their their TV shows aren't connected whatsoever to that universe. Although it looks like, as we've seen in Arrow and Flash, those are connected. So it's very interesting how they're doing the same thing, but in a very different manner.
And I'll be honest with you, right?
Yep.
I know this is going to cause flaming from comic book fans everywhere, bro.
Yeah.
But it's the same thoughts sharing that lineup that I had when I first saw the suspected movie lineup for Marvel.
Yeah.
Movies of Aquaman, Man, and is about these guys. I don't want to watch a movie about them. Bro, those oaks were like, not even sidekicks. I'd rather watch a movie about a sidekick. I'm really not interested in seeing Ant-Man or Aquaman.
Oh
Aquaman was the
man,
most
he
useless
he
hero
is inciting
ever.
the flames right now.
Dude, no, think about it, right? I want you to think about it, right? Aquaman would be, if you made a movie about Aquaman, the bad guy would pretty much be like the monsters in Pacific Rim. Like the dude would be summoning kaiju and whatnot. It would be awesome. I want to watch that movie.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, right? I think, and call me biased, but I think the big thing with a lot of the guys on Marvel, people don't generally care about those characters in the sense that a lot of the Marvel characters are very flashy, so to speak. So Aquaman has always had the stigma attached to him where he's a pretty boy underwater, and that's pretty much it. He talks to fish, and that's pretty much it. But I mean, if there are certain comic iterations, so to speak. I mean, I look at the New 52 Aquaman. That is one badass Aquaman. Like, and I've only seen him in the Justice League. Now, apparently, he's also pretty badass in his own right. And then you think about Shazam. Now, Shazam, I think that's going to be a very fun movie because, as we know, Dwayne Johnson has already been cast as Black Adam. So I think that's going to be interesting. People are kind of on the fence in the sense that they expected him to be cast as Captain Adam instead of Black Adam. But I think he works. I think he works. He works either way. So it should be interesting to see who they cast to play Billy, and who they cast to actually play Shazam. But overall, I think these heroes, these superheroes and anti-heroes are worth their own movies. Because the thing is, you have to also remember that there's a huge tonal difference in the Marvel movies versus the DC movies.
No, yeah, I think the main reason why these movies need to happen is because CEOs need to eat, man.
Well, that too.
The economy is tough for a billionaire. You must make a plan, hustle somehow. Yeah, I'm actually with this one. I'm going with Curtin. As much as I want to see an Aquaman movie, you can't. If you're DC, you can't be complaining for years on years that they don't know how to make all the movies all together. Yeah. It's difficult. You have to do a Wonder Woman, and then give Aquaman a movie that releases before Wonder Woman. I don't think you can really be doing that, or before Green Lantern. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it does kind of smell of just trying to say, look, now we have as many movies as DC as Marvel. Are you guys happy now? I'm not entirely sure they were planning on doing this because okay, Superman Batman thing, right? That was been in the pipeline for years and years and years. And DC isn't a company that's really known for surprises.
Yeah.
Like they'll announce what they're gonna do relatively ahead of time. So then to just come out and say, here you go, 10 movies, it does kind of seem like a money making scheme to me.
Yeah, no, it certainly does warrant some worry considering how quickly these movies are coming out in succession of each other. I mean, okay, guys, first things first, Suicide Squad. Now that I did not see coming. I'm not even
again.
That I did not see coming.
If you're not a comic book reader,
Yeah.
or you didn't watch Arrow season 2 episode what,
Yeah.
would you even know who the hell that is?
See, that's the thing. If you didn't watch that, you wouldn't know. I mean, fair enough. One can argue if you watched. Now this is for the dedicated people out there.
Oh,
They
yeah.
also showed up in Smallville at some point, but overall,
yeah,
it's a very risky play to actually put in Suicide Squad because they're a very obscure group of individuals. And then on top of that, right, here's my bigger worry. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is coming out on March 25th, 2016, and
Yeah.
Suicide Squad is taking August 5th, 2016. Now, as a moviegoer, August is more of a prime time than March is. So why would they take what's potentially going to bring in the huge numbers and put it in the March slot as opposed to the August slot?
Uh, you're saying cut?
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, wait, it depends though. I think it might have to do with the when Marvel's movies
Captain
are coming out.
America.
Let's just check.
Yeah, they had to.
Captain America. Yeah.
At one point, they were primed to be on the actual same release date.
Oh
Captain
no,
America
that you'd
3
lose
and
so badly.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be horrible, bro.
Because the thing is, I mean, let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
We all saw Man of Steel. Man of Steel was good, right? Some would go as far as to call Man of Steel great, right? But if I'm chilling and someone tells me, dude, watch Man of Steel again for the first time, or watch Captain America 2 again for the first time,
Oh,
I'd be like, yo,
it's not even a contest.
I'd be like,
And this is coming from me, the one of the biggest Superman fans. I will tell you, it's not even a contest. I think the
that
biggest.
movie was so good.
The thing is with Marvel,
agree.
I think overall, and this is not to discount what DC has done with with the Dark Knight, but then again, that is one of those things that kind of has it has people on the fence because you either extremely love it or you hate it just because of how totally different it is from the comics and what Nolan did with the Dark Knight, but. I mean, Marvel knows exactly what to do with each of their properties. I mean, you look at what they did with Iron Man. You look at what they did with Captain America. You look at what they're doing with Thor. I mean, I'd say I didn't enjoy Thor 2 to the Dark World as I did the first Thor, but it was still a relatively enjoyable movie. Now, and then you have to look at what DC did with their movies. DC has had a very troubled. They've had a very troubled past with their movies. I mean, we all know where it
Don't even say
started.
it. Don't say it.
It has to be brought up. Like, it has to be brought up. Like, the big thing is right. They started with the '60s Batman, which was. For lack of a better word, it was quacky as could be, but it was what it was. People enjoyed it in its time, and then when it started getting serious, they started with their Batman movies and the Superman movies. Now, initially, the first Batman movie. Now you would be a better testament to the quality of the Batman movies, right? Now, the first Batman movie, as a movie, objectively speaking, it was good, right? Wait, who directed the first one?
Burton. Tim Burton.
Yeah, Tim Burton directed the first one. Now, that movie for me personally, I had a look at it recently, and it's objectively a good movie. And then obviously Joel Schumacher took over, and well, we all know how that ended up. But that pretty much sunk Batman for the foreseeable future up until Nolan took over and tried to restore faith. And then on the flip side, what happened with Superman? The first Superman got released, and it was good, and people enjoyed it in its time. I think it actually has aged. I actually watched it recently. I did a marathon, and I watched the first one, and the first one actually aged pretty well. Apart from the campy nature of the movie, it aged really well. The second movie, that's where things started getting a little shaky, but it was still enjoyable. Then we go into third movie and fourth movie, where I would rather gouge my eyes out than go back there. But
So
long
you
story
actually
short,
managed to watch Returns, bro.
oh no,
Yeah.
I watched like 10, 15 minutes of it, and I just decided I can't do that because that
man.
was not a Superman. I'm sorry.
I
The-
You know
still
the problem
hate
with Returns
myself.
is, yeah.
I still hate myself from watching that movie.
yeah,
Actually, I think the problem with the movie is, right, is...
Everything.
Okay, it sucks. Like, let's be honest, right? But there was one scene. The reason I actually stayed through the movie the first time, because you're sitting there watching it, and you're like, well, this is mostly shitty, not even kind of shitty. You're watching. Then you see just one scene movie where you're like, okay, maybe there's more of this. I have to stay to see if there's more. Now, in Returns, I'm watching this movie. I'm like, this is bad. Why is it taking an hour for Superman to show up in a Superman movie? And then when he goes save that plane, right?
yeah.
Most of the save is nonsense, but when he rips off the shuttle and he's flying in, ripping out the wings, I was like, oh, okay. And then no, disappointment and sadness.
Yeah, for me,
And
okay.
many
Here's
tears.
here's another big problem for me. And I guess it's a symptom of the first Superman movies. I think it's a big symptom of the first Superman movies. The problem with the first Superman movies and subsequently any further attempts is Superman's hasn't really been seen as a fighter in it because of his Boy Scout nature, and I think it's the same reason why people had this thing where they didn't like Captain America over on the Marvel side. It's because those two are seen as proper Boy Scouts. Now, the fact of the matter is Superman he's a badass. Now, and there's certain comics that show that, but unfortunately the movies didn't carry that forth. And the problem with Returns, which doesn't really have any redeemable features in my opinion, because what they did is they took a lot of what the first movies tried to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially what happened with that movie is it was essentially a modernized continuation of the initial Superman movies, and it didn't work because you could tell that the setting is trying to portray what let's say Metropolis was in the first Superman movies. So how do you bring back an old school setting and try to make everything modern in that setting?
Do it by failing very hard.
Exactly. So
But I
all
think
around,
we can all just agree, say that if we all pretended like the whole world, everybody would agree on this. The whole world just pretended like that movie didn't exist. Maybe, just maybe, it will be erased from my memory.
yeah,
I
it's a
think
hard
that's
one, eh?
the only way that we can actually do some redemption on. Let's be honest about it, bro.
Okay, here's another big thing, right? And this is maybe something that I picked up on as a Superman fan. My biggest problem with all of the movies, and this includes the first one, this includes them right up to Superman Returns. What they did with Lex Luthor, it infuriates me to this day, because they turned him into essentially a, how do I call it? They pretty much made him a petty criminal in large scale. I don't know
Instead
if
of a
that
mastermind.
if that translates, because that's not Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor isn't a petty criminal who is how do I don't know if I can really enunciate what exactly they did with him, but
No,
he
I think I
he
get
seemed
what you're saying.
he seemed like an idiot to me, and this is not I'm not going to put this down to Kevin Spacey's acting. I'm just going to put it down to how they've always continually written Lex Luthor's part.
Yeah, he just doesn't have that feel that. I mean, this guy, if you actually followed the comics, and that was really a mastermind. He is actually one of the biggest nemesis for the whole Justice League. Is
Yeah.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
And none of the movies I go through fully. In there, he's this idiot that just wants to steal stuff, and he doesn't have any big goals, and he's definitely far from the mastermind that he actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the comics, you always have to wonder, okay, what power is Superman gonna rip out of his ass to beat Lex Luthor because this plan is too good. In the movies, you're like, just hit him and it's over. So
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
I don't
much,
know.
pretty much. Okay, so once again, the tangent has continued, but the, the point was with this history lesson that we have just embarked on. The point was the fact of the matter is, Marvel has had uh, an exponentially better run with their movies than DC has. Now, obviously, Warner Brothers is making a change. Initially, it started out with obviously the Nolan Batman movies, and I don't know. They were good. I thoroughly enjoyed the Nolan Batman movies. I think the bigger problem for them is obviously with those Nolan movies out the way, DC still didn't have a plan forward for for a con, a fleshed out continuity, because
Gonna
they
keep
built they
quiet at
built
that
that they
point.
built that Nolan verse, and then from there they thought to themselves, oh wait, people are actually going to see these movies,
Yeah,
and
squap
the
here.
ratings are there. So now let's actually get into the swing of things. And then we all know what happened after that. We saw the Green Lantern movie. That movie happened. Uh,
That was horrible as well, bro. Horrible.
Yeah, the Green Lantern movie. I think I don't know. That movie was down to a lot of things. It was down to bad writing. I'm not entirely sure Ryan Reynolds was the best for the Hal Jordan part.
I don't know, dude. I mean, it must be pretty difficult, right, to fail at a movie where you're like, okay, Ryan Reynolds will play a cocky guy with a lot too much power. I mean,
It makes sense. I mean, on paper it makes sense, but what they gave him, my goodness. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that movie, and as we can see in the 10 movie lineup coming out from DC, they actually are gonna have an actual Green Lantern movie. Now, speculation time. With Green Lantern, and the Flash being among these 10 movies, right? Do you guys, um, would you guys have any guesses to who would possibly be the Flash for the movie? As we all know, in the TV show The Flash, we actually have Barry Allen, who is played by. Let me just make sure of that. Grant Gustin. I think he plays a pretty good Barry Allen. Um, do you reckon they're gonna go with another Barry Allen for the Flash movie?
More than likely they will. I
Because
don't think they should, but
they've
they
already
more than
cast
likely
Ezra
will.
Miller as the Flash there, and Ezra Miller is a pretty young dude, so it could go to us having another Barry Allen, or
I don't know. It could
possibly,
be like, yeah, Wally West or even Bart Allen, maybe.
yeah.
Oh, Wally West, please. Yes, please. I want Wally West.
I don't know though. That guy doesn't. Does that guy look like a Wally West to you, Ezra Miller?
No, Ezra Miller does not look like a Wally West at all. uh, okay,
And
here's
also,
another big thing, right? Which is why I find the fact that we have a Flash movie going on. What are your thoughts on having both the Flash in one universe, and then having on the TV? Because as they've mentioned, DC have mentioned it time and time again, Warner Brothers as well. The TV shows are in no way connected to the movies. So now we have one iteration of the Flash on TV, and we're gonna have another one on the big screen.
I suppose it's almost the same as all these reboots, though, right? It's the same thing. You have to distance one from another, you
Mm.
know. Don't know if I quite like it because like I'm really enjoying the character of the Flash now and the character of the Arrow as well,
Yeah.
the Green Arrow. I'm enjoying the characters and I'm starting to get association with these characters.
Okay.
Are you just going to change this and make it like that never happened? I get
Yeah.
why they do it. I don't know if I'm a fan of it.
I don't know. I actually kind of like it because it's like it leaves both the movie writers and the screenwriters for the TV free to pretty much tell the story that they want to. Because I can imagine with the Marvel universe, sometimes it must get difficult. Let's say you have some really good idea that okay, we want to do this, and then the executives come and say, no, sorry, the movie just did this, so fuck you, you got what you want.
Yeah.
So I think it because of the fact that you like the characters on Arrow and Flash so much, you'll watch those, you'll be super invested in those, but you can't help but miss the movie because you're like, I kind of have to see what maybe it's better, maybe it's not, I don't know. So it pretty much it forces you to watch everything, which cannot be bad from a business perspective.
Okay. As a person who kind of knows a bit of what's going on in the DC universe, right? Now, yes, they have distanced the TV shows from the movies, but there is a plot line in the DC universe that actually allows for all these different universes to coalesce because we have one iteration of Arrow, we have one iteration of the Flash, and perhaps we might even get to see a TV show Batman, a TV show Superman at some point. But the point is, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Is that a possibility?
Please no.
Okay, you guys lost me there. So I'm
Okay,
gonna
Crisis.
keep up.
Crisis. Okay, I'm gonna leave it to Snare to explain Crisis on Infinite Earths
Oh,
because he
God.
has a little bit more knowledge on that.
Okay, the entire basic premise of Class of because what they do is that they get all the big comic books, right, that they've been writing for like a year or so, and they kind of gather them up into one huge story. So they'll have comics before that leading up to it. So it's pretty much it's like a World Cup of comics, whatever you want to say. Whenever they realize, okay, the way we've been writing, all the arcs have concluded, we can pretty much wrap up this current line of comics. They have one big, huge special like Class of Infinite Earths. Everything comes together, and then it allows them to do weird things and just change stuff that they've changed before, or redo things, bring characters back to life, etc., and just make it easy for yourself, right? Now, in theory, it's all good. I understand this. I'm like, I can see why you would need to do this. It's a nice way without alienating someone and making them feel like, oh gosh, I start number one again each single time. I get it. But if you're gonna do this, right? If you're gonna do this, at least make the story good. Don't make me feel like after I've read this, I just wanna say, fuck your DC. I don't care what you bring out after this. I'm done.
Okay, but the storyline on Crisis on Infinite
Oh.
Earths, right? Basically, there's an event. There's a huge event that essentially puts all the multiverse guys together. Essentially,
Took away the multiverse, made it one universe.
yeah, it took away the multiverse and made it one universe. Essentially, you have different versions of the same hero. So for example, on New Earth you had a Superman, on Prime Earth you had a Superman. So the different versions of Superman exist within one plane, and then you obviously have different versions of Batman and so forth, and so it continues. So with Marvel, with DC, distancing the TV shows from the movies, it doesn't necessarily mean that they couldn't be brought together at some point.
Understand? Yeah.
But that would be a heavy undertaking, though. I must admit, that would be a very heavy undertaking.
But it's almost like what they've done with Spider-Man, though, with the Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man. Similar concept, don't you?
Yo, but Spider-Man's another thing entirely. Oof.
I don't know. I think the transition to Amazing Spider-Man
Yeah.
was just trying in all your worth to escape Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
But they made
Even
the
if-
same mistakes,
What
though.
else can we do to fix this?
yeah, because the thing is, even if let's say there was a plan for maybe Spider-Man 4, Tobey Maguire, maybe he like tie up more of the story. You can't now. You're like, guys, we have to change everything. Do not let them remember this is the same movie. Make them forget that Spider-Man 3 ever happened.
And
That
they
is
they,
the
did they did a they had a valiant effort with the first Amazing Spider-Man, but they
And
repeated
they
the
released Spider-Man
same
3.
mistakes on Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, we had a very campy love story, which was just annoying to behold. And I'm not
it
even
was
going to talk about
horrible.
the runtime of the movie, but and then they put in how many villains in that movie? I know we had
I lost count, dude.
yeah
Rhino,
we had Rhino,
Electro.
we had obviously Osborn and his Green Goblin
There was the evil
goons.
guy at the company, dude. He was attacked by a freaking battery in that movie. Everyone's a bad guy.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, we had Electro even in that movie, and just overall, that movie pretty much was. I mean, I won't say it was as bad as Spider-Man 3, but
I don't know.
it was inkling towards that mark.
Oof.
It was
I went
it
to watch it in cinema, right? And the thing that got to
Ooh.
me is for an hour of that movie, all you hear is, I love you, I want to be with you, but I can't be with you.
Can't.
I don't
Yeah.
care, I'm going to be with you. I promise you, I'm going to be with you. No, I actually can't be with you. Even though I love you, I can't be with you. But no matter what, I think I'm still going to be with you. For an hour, it just went back and forward like that. I literally was sitting in the cinema thinking, I'm actually going to walk out if this happens one more time, bro.
Yeah, like
That
I can't
movie
deal with
killed
this.
my soul. That killed my soul.
Yeah, no, like I said, man, for me, I saw that, I was like, this movie is actually, it's repeating a lot of what they did wrong in the initial iteration of Spider-Man. I don't know if if it's now worth it that they did the reboot in the first place.
It was for the first one. The
Yeah,
second
for
one, I
the
don't
first
know.
one was amazing. I loved the first Spider-Man, the first Amazing Spider-Man, but the second Amazing Spider-Man, oh my goodness. Um, but at least the thing is, it wasn't as bad as the third as Spider-Man 3, but
Yeah,
it was
that I
inching.
can
It
agree
was
to.
inching there. Okay,
Hold on, just something quickly. How many comic book movies except for Batman and Robin is worse than Spider-Man 3?
uh,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to think back.
Superman
How bad
Returns,
was
bro.
Daredevil?
Superman
Huh?
Returns. I would even take
Ooh,
Spider-Man 3 over Superman Returns, bro.
I don't
That's
know.
how much I dislike that movie.
Which movie's
Superman
longer?
4, guys. Superman 4.
Oh yeah, okay,
Superman
D
4.
wins.
Superman
Yeah,
4.
yeah,
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 Superman 4.
yeah.
I
I
yeah.
even I even think that Superman Returns is worse than 4.
No, have you seen Superman 4?
Yes,
Ah,
I have, but I
yo,
really,
dude.
that's how much I dislike.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
amount of
I
insanity that
hated,
you were spouting, sir.
Four. It
I
was
hated
really bad.
everything about Returns, bro. I hated the act, hated the story, I hated everything. There was not
Yeah.
a single thing I liked about Returns, bro.
I think I should task you with going back to watch Superman 4, just so you understand
Scared, bro. I'm
how
scared.
how atrocious that movie is. But yeah, no, that was a bad movie. My
Such a bad movie.
goodness.
Yeah, that movie's bad.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a quick?
Yep.
Yeah.
This thing started going straight in. Anyone shoot or what?
I think you're cutting out there.
You're cutting out. Yeah, it's not just me. Okay, cool.
Yeah, possibly. I was saying if you could have a reboot of any superhero movie, it doesn't have to be a reboot, even if it's a new superhero movie. What superhero would you like to see a movie of or a first movie of?
The first movie off.
A first movie
Either
of
or. First movie or reboot.
You know what I would watch the hell out of, right?
yeah.
You know in X-Men First Class, at the beginning, when it shows Magneto, when he's Alec Lensher,
Yeah.
when he's trying to find Sebastian Shaw. A movie about him traveling the world killing Nazis would be pretty legit.
Yeah, you're cutting me deep here, bro. You're cutting me deep.
Should be fucking amazing, dude. I'd watch that movie every day.
And D, what would it be for you?
That's a difficult one for me. Because had you asked me this question just over a year ago, my answer would have been very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been no doubt Superman. But if I had to see a reboot,
So while you think about it, I'll tell you my one.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
remember when I saw the cartoons and read the comics of this, I was absolutely in love with this character. They've already done movies of it. They weren't bad. I
Yeah.
thought the actor was good and everything. I don't know. I would love to see more of him. Blade.
Yeah.
Blade in the Marvel universe.
Oh
Mm.
yes,
When
yes.
I saw him, like I said, when I saw him in comics, and I absolutely thought Blade was just so badass, bro. I would love to see more Blade, but
Hey, man.
in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, dude, you could have like Loki summon a vampire army. Then they're like, shit, we don't have anyone to deal with vampires. Who do we call? Bleed comes
But I
through.
mean, if you actually follow his story, he helped the X-Men, was in Civil Wars as well, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does have associations with Shield. He gets all the Shield technology. He is hardcore. If you actually follow those series, you know, he is involved in quite a few. You know, like I said,
Yeah.
I remember I saw this vampire riding on a bike, really
Yeah.
badass, and I was like, that is a hero I could follow, bro.
You're like, this guy. Ah, this guy's the one.
Okay,
You're like, bleed.
if I had to make a choice, um, I really, really, because I have no idea what the new what the new Green Lantern's gonna be. I really would love to see a John Stewart Green Lantern.
Oh, yeah. I
I
watched
I
the hell out of
really
that
would
movie.
like to see a John Stewart Green Lantern. I already
Is
have
that
the
the
pick.
black dude?
That's the black dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Ah,
already
he
have
was the
Idris
best.
Elba picked out as
Oh, dude.
as him, and obviously there would be conflict because well he's in Thor right now. So yeah,
You see
there's
this one
I
that.
fucking
don't
dirty
care.
ones. Yeah.
I don't
But
care. That's
but
just old, bro.
but I would I would die for that.
I agree with you that he was always my favorite Green Lantern as well, and I agree with you with Idris Elba. That dude has this natural. I'm a hardcore motherfucker. Don't fuck with me. You know, he's just
Yeah.
naturally got that swag, dude. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard the rumors a while ago about him being a James Bond. I think it was cancelled, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
they said it's
The
not gonna happen.
rumors.
But when I heard that, I'm not even James Bond fan. I don't even like James Bond. I heard Idris
But you were like,
Elba's
this
going to be
movie.
James Bond. I'm like, yo, I
I'm
gotta see
watching
this
this
movie,
movie
bro.
now, dude.
I've got to watch this movie, bro. So I'm in full agreement with that one there.
Okay.
I would put him in every movie.
You would put him in every movie,
True story.
and that wouldn't be a bad choice.
He'd be Superman and Batman
At the same time.
at the same time, fighting himself. Wouldn't even need trickery because Idris Elba was that badass.
That would actually be quite me. Okay, moving along. Moving along. We now have this 10 movie lineup coming up. We now have actually if let me actually just have a quick gander at what Marvel has in their schedule. Okay, I have a combined listing of what's going on in the Marvel and DC universe. Okay, so in 2015, we're gonna have Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna have Ant-Man, and we're gonna have Fantastic Four. Then in 2016, we'll have Deadpool, which I'm actually quite excited about. Captain America 3, X-Men Apocalypse, Doctor Strange, Sinister Six. And in
Yeah.
2017, we'll have Venom Carnage, and then we'll have possibly another Wolverine movie, and it's a few. There's actually quite a few unannounced movies, so they haven't really released their entire slate of what they're going to be doing up until 2020. And then let's see, 2018 we'll have the Amazing Spider-Man 3. We will have the Avengers 3 as well, and there'll be an unannounced X-Men movie, and then looks like in 2019 it's another unannounced movie, and then that's pretty much it for their slate. Now, Fantastic Four is there's another one that's being retconned, so to speak.
It has to be rebooted because you can't have the same Human Torch acting anymore.
Yeah.
Human Torch
Well, I
turned
don't
into
know.
Captain America, so
I think it's less about that and more about how bad the previous ones were. So they're like, yeah, let's not get involved in this again. The change with Johnny Storm being black now, I don't know. I don't really think it'll matter.
Yeah.
I mean, that
He's
dude,
on fire all the
Michael.
time, bro.
Oh, that. But Michael B. Jordan's a really good actor, so
Hmm.
I think he'll make it work. He'll make it seem like it's not even a thing. Like, unless they give him a script where he's supposed to be like a thug or something, then I'm just gonna like walk out the movie and say, guys, really.
I nearly thought you said Michael Jai White is going to play him, bro. And I thought that would be the worst
No, no,
actor
no,
ever.
no.
But I don't care,
Then you
bro.
thought
I'm
about
a
it.
fan, bro. I'm a fanboy of
Yo,
Michael
Michael
Jai
J. White's the
White.
one, dude.
So I
Have you
wouldn't even
seen,
care how bad an actor or how bad a fit that is. I would watch it, bro.
dude? Have you seen what's that movie? What's it called? I think it's Blood and Bone.
Blood and Bone. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Michael Jai White, bro. It's
That
like,
dude kicks ass.
have you seen Never Back Down 2?
I haven't
I
seen
actually
two, no.
haven't seen two.
It's a horrible movie, bro. But it's got Michael Jai White. It's a fucking amazing movie.
But it's good.
It's
Man,
a
That's
good
good
movie,
enough.
bro.
That's good enough. That's good enough. Okay, wait. We still haven't really gone further into the Civil War storyline.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Civil War storyline? Because that's huge for Captain America 3.
I like the storyline, but obviously you can't tell it over one movie. It's just a bit too big
I
to
was
do
about to
Civil
say the
War.
exact same thing. Civil War is huge, bro. The storyline is a long storyline. I mean,
Yeah.
that can be put over easily a couple of movies.
Easily like 2 or 3, 4 movies even. That it's a big thing, and plus, like I was saying earlier, you kind of for Civil War to end the way it does in the comics, you actually need Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
You
okay,
need
people who
a
haven't
lot of
seen.
those other heroes, though. I mean,
Yeah, you need
Blade
Spider-Man. You
plays.
need the Fantastic Four. You need okay specifically Reed Richards. You need Spider-Man. Who else is missing that you still need?
X-Men.
Oh yeah, yes, you do need the X-Men. You need Captain X. Yeah, Professor X. Sorry, yeah, you need Professor X. You need Jean Grey as well. Yeah, so
Yep.
actually, Marvel will actually have to buy if their plan is to do exactly like the comics, they have to buy everything.
Yeah, they'll have to own it. It's the only way it would work. And like I said, there's no ways that it can be done in one movie. Not a
Yeah.
chance in hell.
Yeah.
No, I think Captain America will probably be the kickstarting point.
I'll touch it off.
But yeah, man, I think it's definitely one of the more interesting plot lines in the Marvel universe. I mean, you've got one side talking about civil liberties, and then you've got the other side talking about national security, and obviously the idea of seeing Iron Man and Captain America at loggerheads on screen.
Yeah.
I think people are are excited about that.
Go Cap, bro. Go Cap.
Right, Cap must win. Also, when Cap's winner, yeah, Cap must go. Oh, also for Civil War, you need Norman Osborn, but
Oh,
that means you
yes.
need Spider-Man again, and you need to revive Norman Osborn.
Man,
Yeah, so you really can't do it over one movie. Like you just cannot.
the implications are actually pretty big if they're going to be doing the Civil War storyline for Captain America 3, because in terms of the properties they currently have within the Marvel and Disney stable, they still need to get some of their other properties in tow if they want this to be exactly what we have in the comic books.
What I do like about it though, is that if they do get everything, it would be nice as a comic book fan, right? I'm not sure about if I don't like monopolies, but as a comic book fan, it would be really nice to know that the movie I'm given is going to be done by people who legitimately understand and read comic books and are making the movie from that perspective instead of someone just trying to make a blockbuster that happens to have these heroes involved.
AKA Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. You see what I mean? Like, I don't know. Sometimes when you watch like certain DC movies and most Marvel movies,
Yeah.
it does feel like the people who are making this they actually read the comics and said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is what the people want. This is what's hype right now. Talk to some people about comics, see what their thoughts were, and say, let's go along with this instead of just making a big movie for no reason. So it would be nice for some actual comic oversight.
Yeah, no,
I must-
definitely true.
I must be honest, I'm also like, as cool as the Civil War would be, I know the ending of it. I'm not a huge fan of the ending, and so it kind of would make me sad if they did make that a Civil War movie, you know.
Hey man, they gotta do what they gotta do. They gotta do what they gotta do. I mean, it's gonna make for some interesting, it's gonna make for some interesting plot points in the universe. So I think if they do decide to take it on, it would be doing their universe a lot of justice. Okay, moving on from our DC Marvel clash of the movies up until 2020. Um, we did bring up the fact that Arrow is currently obviously Arrow Flash is obviously one of the other DC properties that are currently having TV shows. But another among them, we also have Gotham, and then Supergirl just recently got her own TV show on CBS. So soon that'll be up and running. So DC's also expanding into in terms of the TV shows they have. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Well, like I said, I'm a huge fan of the Arrow and Flash.
Yeah,
So if they can keep it on those lines, by all means, go for it. I'm excited. Like I said, I never was a huge fan of the Green Arrow character. I thought he was
yeah,
cool, but never a huge fan. Arrow, the TV shows, absolutely loved it. Flash, I was a fan of the comic, but so far it's very early days, but I'm really enjoying it.
yeah,
If they can keep it on these lines, then by all means, go for it. Don't milk it either, but go for it.
You know what I'm actually thinking though, right?
yeah,
It seems that DC is a company not afraid to show that they've learned from they took a harsh mistake.
yeah.
I think they learned from having 9 seasons of Smallville, and they displayed a lot of
10
patience.
seasons.
10 seasons, yeah,
10 seasons.
and they displayed a lot of patience before their next big show, which was Arrow.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that they were like, okay, guys, I think they've had enough of us for a while. Let's hang back, relax, chill a bit.
Yeah, no, they
You know,
learned a lot, eh? And you have to consider that Arrow and Flash are both on the actual network that ran Smallville, the CW. So,
yeah.
so clearly, they have learned something.
Hashtag mistakes made. What I do like though, in some ways, because of the fact that they're all releasing at very different points in time,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of them coming out at once, I actually am okay with the decision to not have the characters cross over
yeah,
a bit more now. Because with Marvel, right, it's not like they released a lot of things at once,
yeah,
right? They've been doing things staggeredly. Now because DC is rushing, it makes it easier to rush if you have lots of small projects instead of one huge combobulated blob of complication.
Mm. It would actually be hard to keep up if they decided they were going to make everything connected. Because I mean, we've got Supergirl coming up soon. We've got Arrow, which is kind of connected to Flash as well. And then on the flip side, Gotham also just it's also up and running, and goodness knows with the universe they're creating on the TV shows what else they have planned for that universe. So
Yeah.
I think it may, considering how much content they're getting out there, or they're planning to get out there, I think it may be the smarter play to actually distance the TV shows from the movies.
Although it does kind of suck that this guy can't be in all the movies now. What's his name? Michael Caine. They can't just put him everywhere and say, there you go.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Speaking of Michael Caine, so Alfred in Gotham, what are your thoughts?
Mm,
He's an odd one. I don't know what I don't really have an opinion just yet. I mean, I only just recently watched the pilot, and from what I could gather, he's a good actor, but it's a very different Alfred to what I'm used to.
no, it's the same, pretty much the same kind of Alfred that was in what's that book? Batman Year One.
Yeah,
It's more or less the same Alfred, just a tinge of the later Alfred injected into it as well. So I don't know. I kind of like the fact that again they're actually paying attention to comics. They're looking at different things and saying, okay, this we think works more with what we're trying to do, and not being afraid to use all of the existing material, but mixing it up a bit. I don't know. I think I'll grow to like him right now because it's an atypical Afro. That's why in year one was such a surprise.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, but I think we'll get used to it. And because it's gonna be such a long time before we see traditional Afro again, I think we'll be able to get used to it.
Okay.
I really can't comment on the new Gotham. It's taking a superhero world and making it not super, so
So you're
I'm
not down with that
prejudging it.
cause.
I'm prejudging it. It's a crime drama. I'm not a fan of crime dramas. I think I'm going to give this one a skip. I know it's getting good reviews and people are enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think I just might give this one a skip though.
Listen, I've only watched one episode, and I think there's a lot of potential, right? But I also see like a lot of problems, at least considering the pilot that I watched. I mean, for one, the dialogue that's written there, it's very cartoony, and that is also in how they portray some of the characters. I mean, no jokes, it is very cartoony. And what they did in the first episode, I mean, guys, you tell me, this is a kid who just lost his parents, right? And at the end of the first episode, Jim Gordon is having a conversation with him, and he asks him what was he doing on the roof, right? He was sitting on he was there on the roof, not really about to jump, but he was apparently trying to conquer fear. His answer to the question, what were you doing on the roof, is, I'm learning to conquer fear. This is a young child who knows nothing about the world, guys.
You're forgetting one thing, guys. He's Batman.
Yeah, he's got you there, bro. As Alan Moore once wrote, he's the goddamn Batman. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, just the last 5 minutes before we wrap up. The last item being I think not many of us are gonna have too many opinions on it, but the Supergirl series. Any thoughts on that?
I'm actually hype, eh?
I'm looking forward to it, bro. I'm running through my head. Have they announced who the actor is?
They haven't announced who the actor is.
I'm running through my head. Who would I have?
It's a tough one.
But let's be honest, bro. She's got to be blonde, she's got to be beautiful, and she's got to have a big chest, bro. Let's just be honest. Straight up.
Yeah,
nah, bro, nah. Well, check. What should be, what's her name? Zoe Saldana?
Yeah.
Or like Halle Berry or something? Halle Berry's like, guys, Catwoman, I'm back.
Please don't do it.
I just did a little search here.
Yeah.
The first one that came up, is Kristen Bell. Kristen Bell.
Yeah.
Kristen Bell. Intriguing.
That
7 actresses who could play Supergirl. Let's just check this out. Just get out of a second. See if any of them meet all 3 of my criteria.
A lot of them are probably going to meet.
Definitely. Laura Vandervoort. I don't even know who you are.
That's the one who played. She actually played Supergirl in Smallville.
She did.
Strahovski.
Oh, yeah, Von Strahovski.
From Chuck.
She did the... from Chuck. She also did the voice for Miranda in Mass Effect.
Yes, she is Miranda in Mass Effect.
Yeah, they modeled the character.
Ashley Hinshaw.
Ashley Henshaw, I'm not entirely sure I know
Final
her.
season of True Blood. Also played Power
Oh,
Girl.
back to the Chronicle. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. She was the girl with the, in Chronicle, that dude Matt, I think, the good guy. Yeah, that's the chick you was kind of heading into in the movie.
Okay.
Who else do we have here? Lindsay Fonseca. Nikita.
Oh, I don't know.
Levine Rambin from the Sarah Connor Chronicles. John Connor's girlfriend.
Didn't really watch it.
Laura Haddock. Appreciative fan in Captain America: The First Avenger. Then there's Peter Quill's mother in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh no! Goodness no! Britt Robertson, no! Hell no! No!
None of these actually sparked, like a straight up yes, this is Supergirl in my mind,
This
bro.
this is hype. This is you're not like here. Here's this is the one.
None of them did that for me.
Yeah, I can't really think of who would be the perfect casting for me. I will admit, Laura Vandervoort, she actually did play a decent Supergirl, but obviously she was eclipsed by the fact that you had Tom Welling playing his Clark Kent, which was obviously the keystone of Smallville. You had what was somewhat a makeshift Justice League. I'm gonna call it that because they just had a bunch of characters. I mean, they had Cyborg, they had Arthur Curry, and then they had Bart Allen as opposed to Barry Allen at some point. But yeah, no, I'm excited to
Evander
see.
Lynch.
What?
Evander Lynch. Luna from Harry Potter. I'd watch that shit.
Oh.
I was actually, ironically that you said that, bro. I was just
Yeah.
about to say, let's all just agree. We all want to see Hermione Granger. What's her name?
Oh, Emma Watson.
Emma Watson. Let's all just agree. It doesn't matter what role. We all just want to see her. So let's just make her Supergirl. Why not, bro?
Fair enough. Okay, guys, that was our very first eAe podcast. We don't have a title just. We don't have a title just yet, but we are trying out different formats. We'll see how this works out. But I had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time as well. Any closing thoughts, guys? I'm just my closing thoughts is I'm excited for the next few years because comic books are going to rule the day. That's
Dude,
pretty
I
much
just-
that's pretty much the gist of it.
My closing thoughts are this. I know this is long, guys. Hope you enjoy how much shit we can talk, bro. I just hope that you guys enjoyed as much as we did in making. I know I certainly did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Props to you guys. I actually have a cool closing thought though. If by 2020, when the Green Lantern movie comes out, right?
Yeah.
It's possible we could have Oculus Rift for movies by then.
Oh,
That would be so sick
dang.
watching a Green Lantern movie with Oculus Rift.
Oh my goodness. Maybe
Yeah.
they thought about this. Maybe they thought about
Yeah.
this by putting Green Lantern the last.
Hashtag
Calculated.
calculated, bruh.
But nonetheless, guys, we had a good time. Hopefully, you guys will follow us. Follow us on eAe Gaming on Facebook, at Twitter as well with the same handling at eAe Gaming, and on YouTube. The podcast will be there ASAP. Gaming eAe or eAe Gaming if you're just gonna search. And cheers, folks. That was a very good time. I'm your host Saint D. This was Snare and Insanity from eAe Gaming, and hope you tune into more when we do have those up.
And in the words of the great Snare, deuces. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.